And I know that a number of you are planning to go to World Youth Day. I hope to do that as well. If you've never been to Krakow, Poland, it is an extraordinarily beautiful city, very historic city, in fact, that really is going to, I think, capture your imagination. And you'll find, too, that the Polish people are going to be very warm and welcoming. It's a lovely country and lovely people. I'm so glad that I've had a chance on a number of occasions to go there as well. I know that this afternoon you have been praying the Mercy Chaplet and also considering the Church's understanding of what mercy means. The Holy Father has called a Holy Year of Mercy, a Jubilee of Mercy, beginning on December the 8th, this next winter, that will last until the Feast of Christ the King in the year 2016. And the reason he picked that date is because it is the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the close of the Second Vatican Council. And it was that date that the deliberations of the Fathers of the Council completed their business and having finished all of the documents that they issued. So what he wanted to do is to link this present generation, the people who live in our time, with what happened 50 years ago, because as St. John Paul II said in his apostolic letter on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council, it was a great moment in terms of the life of the Spirit within the Church. So the whole context of this year of mercy is to unpack what was begun in the Church with the Second Vatican Council. And I think that it's important. That gives a whole different understanding of mercy. You all know yourself that we talk about in sports the mercy rule. You know what a mercy rule is? A mercy rule is if in fact you are playing a team and you are winning by 50 points after the half, they call the game so that the other side doesn't get pummeled into the ground anymore. And so it's a mercy rule, as they say, to end the game and to say, okay, this is over. We don't need to continue this slaughter the way it is. We also know that there are people who are in very desperate situations, and they ask for mercy. It's the kind of situation in which that's the only alternative they have. You saw that when, for instance, Hurricane Katrina a number of years ago in New Orleans, where people were so very desperate and putting signs out on top of houses as their whole neighborhoods were flooded, "Help us." And there was a real sense of desperation. They needed some mercy. They needed someone to come in and save them and rescue them. Well, that is, I think, helps us understand mercy, both of those kinds of instances. But there's something else that's at issue, started by the Second Vatican Council, and which this Pope, Pope Francis, has picked up, mostly from his study of a wonderful book that was authored by Cardinal Casper, who is a theologian in his own right, who made a real wonderful contribution by writing on the theology of mercy. And his main point was this: we haven't developed a theology on mercy, even though mercy is a theme within the Scriptures that is so very prominent. We haven't really unpacked it. And what he came to is an understanding that mercy, especially with regard to the way that it's understood in Scriptures, but also, I think, with the Second Vatican Council and now with this Pope, is a matter of not just waiting until you are in a terrible situation, and so you have mercy as the fallback position because you have nowhere else to go. But rather, mercy is an obligation on all of our parts to go to the peripheries. It is not a matter of waiting for mercy until we get in such difficult straits, but rather of us offering mercy, of us going after the lost sheep, of making sure that people are not left behind. So mercy isn't on the person who receives it so much, but on the person who should be giving it. And that's the sense of mercy that the Holy Father is asking us to consider in the life of the Church, in which the Second Vatican Council wanted us to do as well, to have an understanding that the Church is extending the mercy of God, is going out after people who otherwise would be left behind, and who really feel as though their lives don't count anymore. A number of years ago, when I was finishing up my time as the rector of a seminary, I had a little bit of time off in a sabbatical. And so I decided to spend some time in Florence, Italy. Florence, as you know, is a beautiful city. It's where a lot of art really in the Renaissance grew and was fostered. And so I wanted to take time to study some art and history. And one day, it was a beautiful spring day, I was taking a nice walk up to what they call the Piazzale Michelangelo, Piazzale Michelangelo. And the David, one of the replicas of the David is there. It was a beautiful day, and there's a staircase that winds back and forth. And you go back and forth, and it's quite a climb. Well, as I was coming around one end, I saw these two young Italian young men, teenagers, and they were there shooting up in their veins drugs. And it just startled me to come across that. But what really was even more startling was, here you live in a city where there is such a richness of culture, and there's a richness of history, and there is so much about human life that it shows how brilliant we can be and how alive we can be. And it's just so stimulating the way just to live in the city, to see the architecture and the art and hear the music and everything else. Everywhere you look, it's just a huge, huge triumph of human creativity all around us. And yet, there was something going on in these guys' life, these two guys' lives, where they found themselves empty. That something was going on in their life that they found themselves empty. Well, there are a lot of people like that in the world today, and who need us to go out after them, to share the joy of the gospel, as the Holy Father said in his apostolic exhortation, to make sure that people who feel that they're left behind or they don't count are not left with a sense of being bereft in society today. So that really is the sense of mercy that is at the heart of the Scriptures and is in the heart of God. God doesn't wait for us to mess up so badly that we call on God for mercy, but God is the good shepherd who goes after the lost sheep, who goes after them all. And when we do that, we're a much healthier church. You know, a shepherd, I was talking to one of our priests who said that he had a conversation with a shepherd once, and he said, is it realistic to have a shepherd leave the 99 and go after the one that is lost? Is that realistic? I mean, is Jesus just, really out of his domain and really didn't know what he was talking about, that he would say something like that? And the shepherd said, yes, a shepherd would do that. And he would do that for two reasons. Not only to get the lost sheep and so that he would have the hundredfold that was there, the 100 in the fold. But when he comes back with that lost sheep, all the other sheep know that he would do the same for them. And it creates a bond between the shepherd and the sheep. It creates a sense in which they know this is the person who's going to come after them, who's going to save them, who's going to be with them when they're lost. So I think that's so very important in the life of the church today. We need a church that's merciful, who goes after people, just to remind ourselves that Jesus would do the same for us too. And that we would do the same for each other as well. That's really what it means. And every time we go to the Eucharist, every time we celebrate the Eucharist, we reenact that. Because what Jesus did on the night before he died, in which we celebrate in the Eucharist, is he took bread and said, this is me. I will be nourishment for you. even if I have to be broken, like bread is broken and shared, or this is my blood, even if it's like wine that's poured out so that others can also enjoy the fruits of the vine. And so that when we come forward, we receive this bread that has been broken, this Christ who has been broken for us. And when we say amen, what we're really saying is we're going to be willing to be broken for each other too. We're willing to, in fact, have our lives poured out too for each other. And when we do that as a whole church, then we live within a community of always exchanging in an ongoing way mercy. And we're really doing what Christ wants us to do. So think of that next time you go to the Eucharist and you receive the Eucharist. And you say amen to that broken bread that's there. What you're really saying is not just you're receiving Jesus. This is not just a private audience that you're getting with Jesus, But rather what you're doing in that amen is saying you're willing to be broken for each other. You're willing to, in fact, go out of your way to show mercy for others. And maybe then those kinds of little grudges or hurts that we hold on to, maybe will more easily evaporate in our lives. And maybe we'll give each other a break. We'll cut each other a little more slack. We're really going to show mercy to them. So I'm very excited about not only the Holy Year that's coming up, but as the Holy Year also will encompass World Youth Day, because that will be one of the themes, no doubt, that the Holy Father will have as he greets all of us in Krakow, Poland. And as you know, this whole Divine Mercy Sunday that we had really originated with Mother Faustina in Poland. And John Paul II was so taken and enamored by her own spirituality that in many ways it'll be a tribute to him as well, and to the wonderful spirituality of Polish people who have really gifted the church with so much over the years. And so it really, I think, is going to be a wonderful, rich opportunity for all of us as we celebrate in this next year, and I'm very excited about it. It also coincides with the Synod of Bishops this fall, in which the church, the bishops are going to take up some very difficult challenges about family life, the challenges of family life, and how do we show mercy to heal our families. So there really are, I think, some wonderful things happening in this next year, and besides, remember, when the summer of August 2016 rolls around and we're in Poland, it'll be a lot warmer than it is here today. Thank you. Good to be with you.